Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Atari A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of Atari 8-bit games, some which I grew up with and some which are new to me. Today is one of the latter. Today we're taking a look at Winter Olympiad 88, which was a 1988 release by Tynesoft. Now, Tynesoft was a British company from the north of England, as the name suggests, and they specifically specialised in supporting less well-supported 8-bit computers, including the Atari 8-bit, the Acorn Electron, the BBC Micro and the Commodore 16. Winter Olympiad 88 was developed by Brian Jobling, Chris Murray and Michael Headley. It featured graphics by Michael Owens and music by Wally Beeban and Adam Gilmore. So it was a pretty all-star lineup of Atari 8-bit talent there. And a lot of those names will be familiar to many of you who have explored the Atari 8-bits library in general. Tynesoft released numerous multi-load sports games, and they tended to be their most popular and successful titles, but they also had a number of other titles under their belt as well, and I'm sure we'll come across more of those as time goes on. But for today, let's go play Winter Olympiad 88.
Okay, here we are with Winter Olympiad 88 from Tynesoft in 1988. I've not played this game before. I remember it being quite well received back in the day though. I remember reviews in Page 6 magazine saying it was good. And also there's a fair few people online these days who say that given Epic's never released winter games on the Atari 8-bit, this is basically the next best thing. Which is high praise indeed, because winter games is great, as you'll know if you've seen my Atari ST video on it, which is worth a look. I do like games like this. I know at the time of recording it's the Summer Olympics that are going on, but I was on W for Atari A to Z, so here we are with the Winter Olympics. Except it's not the Winter Olympics, this isn't an officially licensed game at all, it's the Winter Olympiad. Right, let's see what we've got. Input number of contestants, just the one for now. Player 1, enter your name. P, no that's not right. Pete. And pick your team. I will be Gerber. Team GB. Select your events. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just 5 events in this one. So not a huge variety, but they are all quite different from one another. So we'll go yes for downhill, yes for ski jump, yes for biathlon, yes for slalom, and yes for bobsled. And yes, that is correct. And there is the Olympic flame. Sorry, the Olympiad flame. And it's on to the first event. The downhill, first of all. Right, so I believe for this one, it's like a 3D racing game, and you just need to try and avoid the trees and stuff as much as possible, and jump over these logs. The tricky thing with this one is that if you crash once, it's all over. Which is most unfortunate. Anyway, well, no medals for me. Maybe we'll have another go at that one after the rest of the Olympiad is over. The next one is ski jump. So in this one you do get a few extra attempts. So your skier just waddles out there, ready to go. You hit the fire button to start, then fire again to leap, and then you need to push up and down on the joystick to adjust your skis so that you land properly. Which is challenging, but you do get another go at least. Right, here we go, and jump! There we go. 1 style point. Beautiful. Okay, and then third and final attempt. Not entirely sure how your style points are determined in this. No style points whatsoever, and less distance, but, you know, I'll take it. Anyway, that is the ski jump. Next event, 1 gold medal for me, by virtue of the fact that no one else is competing. Yeah, like most Olympics games from the time, there are no computer opponents in this. Which is a bit of a shame, because it would make this game a little bit more interesting, I think. But if you do play this with friends, this can have some nice sort of friendly competition about it. Right, so it's on to the biathlon next, which is a joystick waggler. It's not a super fast joystick waggler though. You just need to sort of wiggle left and right to build up a bit of speed. And then every so often you have these target shooting sections. Where your sight is constantly on the move. And you have just 5 shots to try and hit as many of the targets as you can. And your misses get turned into time penalties at the end, so... This event isn't implemented quite as well in Epyx's winter games, I don't think, because it doesn't really take into account the physics of uphill and downhill like Winter Games does. And also, I really like the physicality of Winter Games, with you having to actually sort of cock your gun before each shot by pulling back, and as if you're sort of loading a real gun. Whereas in this one, it's just about handling this wobbly sight here. Oh, come on. Missed. But yeah, in Winter Games, it felt a little bit more like you were sort of rhythmically moving your skis, whereas in this, it ends up just feeling like you're waggling for the sake of it, really. But it's not a joystick destroyer like your sort of average decathlon game, which is nice. Missed. And there's the finish. So at that point, all of our misses get added onto our time, leaving us with a time of 4 minutes 21.74. And again, that would be a gold medal for us, because no one else is competing against us. So what have we got next? It's the slalom. So this one unfolds from a sort of slightly strange isometric perspective. So you hit fire to start on your way, and then use... Whoops! That was wrong. And use left and right to turn. You do actually get more than one attempt in this, though, which is more than can be said for the downhill, thankfully. Oh, I'm doing this completely wrong. So it's above the green ones and below the red ones. There we go. The trouble with that one is that it's quite fast and it throws you straight in there. Like there's a gate almost immediately, so it's very difficult to get into the right rhythm from the beginning. I think we do get a third attempt though. Yeah, here we go. Let's see if we can do a bit better. Alright, below, above, below, above, below, above. There we go. That's better, isn't it? This game is a pretty good example of how Olympics games are often good graphical showcases for various systems. So this is a pretty good looking game for Atari 8-bit. It doesn't use some of the sort of fancy dithering techniques and display list manipulation that some games do. But it's a good solid use of this graphics mode for a decent number of colours, a reasonable resolution, and smooth and slick scrolling and sprite movement, which is what you want for a game that's highly dependent on accuracy and timing. Alright, next event. And it's the bobsled. Right, off we go. Until the light, there is a bit of display list going on down there because we've got some graphics 1 text down at the bottom. Okay, so in this one, you're on your bobsled, and you have to steer around those corners and try and keep your speed up as much as possible without coming a cropper. So if you end up too high on the edge of the wall while you're going around a corner, then you'll fall off and die horribly. However, on the other hand, the higher up the wall you are, the faster you'll go, so it's a bit of a balancing act. What you can do is you'll notice when you're steering around the corner, you'll still rise up the edge of the run. You can tap the fire button to slow down slightly, and that will allow you to get a little bit back down the wall and keep yourself under control. So again, some really nice graphics going on in this one. We've got the parallax scrolling in the background. We've got this sort of quasi 3D effect going on in the foreground. It's all very smooth. The actual course we take doesn't seem to bear a lot of resemblance to the map down in the lower left, if you pay attention to the corners, but you know, it's not too hard to just respond to the corners as they happen in this. Because if you count the number of corners we've gone through, it's actually a lot more than are represented on that map down in the lower left. But it's fun. Bobsled always looked like an excellent combination of fun and absolutely terrifying. It's one of the more ridiculous winter sports, but one that I'm glad exists. And we've made it. A time of 3 minutes 16.09. And then we have to do it again. So, enjoy another 3 minutes 16 seconds of that. I love that animation, it's so stupid. I don't think there's any way to actually make yourself go any faster than this, despite the speed gauge going up to 60 miles an hour there. And it doesn't seem to really change when you hit the brakes either, so I don't know quite what the deal is with that, but yeah, I don't I don't really know if you're supposed to sort of try and ride up the wall a bit higher or something like that, because it doesn't seem to affect your speed all that much. And if you do go too high, then you just fall off, and that's the end of that run, so... I don't know. We'll see what difference this makes to our final time. I haven't really done anything that different, but we'll see if there's any variation at all. As I say, if nothing else, this event in particular is a nice graphical showcase. It's a nice example of how simple graphical effects can be used to create a fairly convincing 3D effect. Epix did something very similar in Winter Games. So with these cycling lines on a static background. Okay, should be coming up on the finish line soon. There it is. Slightly faster. Slightly faster. And then I think we have a third go. So let's enjoy another 3 minutes of this. Oops. Oh dear. Oh well. Retry. Are you going to make me do that again? Oh, you are. God. You're not going to make me do it 3 times again, are you? Well, let's find out. See, I'm not 100% sure why it allows you so many tries at this, when it only gives you 1 go at the downhill, which is probably one of the most difficult events. Oh, well, here we are. I think the difficulty with winter sports is that, one, a fair few of them are seen as quite similar to one another, and two, some of them are a little bit tricky to simulate. Like if you look at Winter Games, you've got a lot of the same events as you've got in this one. You've also got some stuff like hot dog aerials, which wasn't originally part of the Olympics, but I think it is now. And then you had speed skating, which obviously works quite well with a joystick waggling type situation. Then you've got stuff like figure skating, which I actually think Epix did a fairly valiant attempt at incorporating. But then the risk with games like this is sort of ending up with them being sort of almost exclusively extreme sports racing games. So like the official game of the last Winter Olympics we had, which would have been, what, 2018, I guess? Actually wasn't an Olympics game at all. It was Ubisoft's Steep, which was sort of a multi-discipline winter sports game. But it wasn't this kind of game with discrete different events that you competed in one at a time. Alright, 316. Oh god, you are going to make me do it 3 times, aren't you? Alright. Well, in for a penny, in for a pound and all that. So I'm actually following the map at the moment. We should have a slight right turn, left turn. Yeah, it's already gone off what the map says. Yeah, there's a lot more course than there is map. So I'm not sure why the map is even there. Don't worry, only another minute to go on this run, and then another 3 minutes on the next run. Unless I fuck it up, in which case we have to do it all over again. Yeah, this event is just slightly too long to be enjoyable, even in a single heat. And then the fact you have to do it 3 times, with the possibility of messing it up and having to do it all again. Not great. Alright. Last time. Alright, this time let's carefully watch the map. Assuming we're starting from the S in the top right of the map, we should have a bit of a straight and then a left turn. So we start with a right turn, that's good. Alright, assuming we're going from the bottom then, from the F, which is wrong, but may well be. We go right turn then left turn, that makes sense. Okay, then we should have a long right turn next. Yeah. Then a bit of a straight and a slight left turn. Nope, that's wrong. No, it just completely disregards the map after less than a minute. So I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, let's just do our best to actually stay on course. You know, I'm kind of surprised that, given this effect was used in a few winter sports games, I'm surprised no one tried to do sort of an actual racing game based around this idea. I know that Atari game Stun Runner got some ports to 8-bit systems and it used a vaguely similar sort of thing, but this sort of half-pipe style bobsled racing could have made for actually quite a cool full-scale game, I think. I mean, imagine adapting this to a sort of futuristic sports angle, and you're sort of flying future cyber sleds down these trenches, and you could avoid things and shoot them. I think it could have worked quite well. I'm quite surprised we haven't come across more of that sort of thing, really, but because if you look at all the stuff going on the screen here, it would definitely be possible. So, like, if you replace those tree sprites at the side with stuff that's actually on the track, you could have quite an interesting game on your hands. I mean, by all means, if someone has done that sort of thing, then do feel free to correct me. I will gladly hear of it and try it out. Right, are we done at last? What? What? Why? 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 Can we... Well, if you give me a sec, I'm just going to reboot that game, and we're just going to have another go at the downhill. So bear with me. Right, here we are once again. So apparently you can't reset this game to start again. You have to load it again. Right, one contestant. Pete. Great Britain. Downhill, yes. No to all the others. Alright, here we go. So, fire to start. Forward to accelerate. Now, I think what you want to try and do in this mode is watch the little goggles view in the lower right corner, because that's sort of a first-person view of what your ski is seeing, and that's actually a slightly better way of I think that's actually a slightly better way of judging where you are compared to some of the obstacles. Right, let's try that again. Pete. Great Britain. Yes. No, 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 no. Yes. Yeah, just some sort of quick retry or practice function in this would be nice. That's one thing that the Epic games do offer, which is quite nice. You can practice any of the events, and that means you can sort of retry them as many times as you like. And it doesn't save any world records or anything like that if you do that, but it does at least give you the opportunity to get to grips with what's going on and how they all work. Oh, this is going marginally better. I'm a little bit scared to go any faster than this, though. Especially when those avenues of trees are that tight. Yeah, this kind of suffers from the issue that some, or quite a lot of early racing games suffer from, which is that you're not turning. You are just moving from side to side. And that makes it quite tricky to judge moving around corners and that sort of thing. Alright, one more go. Oh, we could retry it that time. That's strange. Interesting. I wonder what governs whether or not you're allowed to do that then. Well, not going to complain. How fast can you go? Too fast. Oh, I see. You can push left or right to choose next event or retry. That's evidently what was going on with the bobsled. Alright, okay, so I retract some of the abuse I was mentally hurling at that event. Turns out it was due to my own incompetence. Who'd have thought it? Yeah, I think... Oh, bollocks. Yeah, I think this event was probably the most ambitious of all the ones on there, and it sort of makes sense that they put it in first to show off what it was, but I also think it's probably one of the least effective events in this, just because the perspective makes it really difficult to judge what you're doing. And that first-person view down in the corner doesn't really help all that much. Because quite often it feels like it doesn't quite match up with what's going on the screen. Still, it's a valiant attempt to try and do some sort of... No! Some sort of fake scaling effect, as it were. Alright, let's have one more try at this. And then if we don't make it this time, I will give up. I will officially give up. Yeah, when you consider that most skiing games up until this point had been sort of in the style of Activision skiing on the Atari 2600, which is sort of top-down perspective, navigating your way through gates. One more try, because I'm still talking. Yeah, this is definitely ambitious. I mean, I know 1988 was quite late for the Atari 8-bit, relatively speaking. But still, trying to do a 3D skiing game in 1988 on an 8-bit platform That deserves a little bit of respect, even if the execution is not wonderful. But that said, as someone who enjoyed these multi-load sports games as a kid, I would have really liked this. And I would have particularly liked this event. I would have particularly liked this event because of its visuals and its perspective and so on, even if I might have found it frustrating to play. This really is the last time. Because I think I one more. This one really is the last time, assuming I don't mess up in the first 5 seconds like I did last time. Gonna sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Why do the sneezes always come when I'm doing sensitive maneuvers? That would be the absolute worst if you were doing this for real, wouldn't it? Hurling yourself down a hill on a pair of skis. And suddenly, you know that you need to concentrate, but you also know that you really need to sneeze. Right, made it through that tricky narrow bit. This little bit here is quite confusing. It's because there's trees everywhere. Just another narrow bit. Jump! Jump! I think this is the furthest we've got. Jump! Oh, and he's fallen over. Good job, skier. Anyway, let's leave that there for now because I'm going to drive myself insane if I keep having a go at that. Anyway, not a bad game at all. Not a bad game at all. Certain aspects of it could use a little refinement. But on the whole, yeah, I can see why people thought this was an acceptable substitute for Epic's winter games. Would have been nice to have a few more events. Would have been nice to sort of see some of the existing events implemented slightly differently. But on the whole, pretty good. Quite impressed with that. Anyway, let's leave that there for now. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.